So let's just talk about a couple of other big, colossal mainstream releases that came out this year. This one, Simple Minds. Now, I love this record. I'm going to guess that you don't.
You're going to guess correctly.
I guess you don't. That this would be, this in a way would be the ultimate manifestation of exactly what I was talking about, the sort of U2 stadium arena rockization of bands that had previously been a bit more edgy.
Yeah.
And Simple Minds, to be fair, I mean, I think they're one of the greatest post-punk groups of all.
I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah.
And I even like the predecessor than a lot of people did.
Sparkle in the Rain. Great record. But they've been gradually moving towards this moment, haven't they? Once upon a time. I absolutely love this record. I think they pull it off. And I think we're going to talk about some other bands from the era that tried to do this and I don't think did pull it off. To me, Simple Minds, along with U2, they are the two bands that pulled it off and deservedly became stadium rock gods and stadium rock icons. I absolutely love this record. I mean, the production is amazing. I mean, obviously, growing up someone that was very excited by beautifully produced records, Bob Claremountain mixed this record. Every snare drum sounds like you're getting kicked in the stomach. It's that big, fat 80s, probably sampled triggered snare drum. But it's done beautifully here in a way that it was done terribly on a lot of other records from the 80s. And it's big, it's pompous, it's reaching for the stars, and I think they pull it off. Tim, go ahead and trash it, as I know you want to.
It was very straight. I mean, again, it's like, I really like early Simple Minds. I think they're one of the most bizarre and experimental post-punk bands. And you listen to the stuff they do in the late 70s, early 80s, and you can still hear echoes of it in creative work now. So I suppose it was interesting that a band that were as, in some ways, willfully obscure and experimental as the Simple Minds to suddenly settle in 1985 as this mainstream rock band. And I agree with you, they did it well in the way that Dire Straits did it well. And I think Sparkle in the Rain still had a kind of edge. It was pushing those gated drums quite far, I think lyrically. In a way, Kerr was off in the stratosphere like Van Morrison. You know, he's rambling maniacally. And they, again, as you said, they had music that had a gut punch. Things like Waterfront. Brilliant use of space and power. And I guess I didn't hear any of the ideas or qualities that I liked in the previous music in this.
You see, I'm going to disagree with you slightly here. I think they've been gradually moving towards this point. If you listen to an album like New Gold Dream, 2 albums before that, they're already reaching for something more mainstream, more accessible, more stadium bound in that sense.
Yeah.
Then Sparkle in the Rain is another step, and then Once Upon a Time is another step. And there's something still very Simple Mindsy about what they do. I still hear some of that DNA that comes from albums like Reel to Reel Cacophony and Empires and Dance and Sons of Fascination. I can still hear it. I can still hear, particularly Charlie Burchill's guitar style, Jim Kerr's vocal kind of tics. They're still there, but it is this big stadium rock sound. And it's fair to say that I think it would have been more shocking for Simple Minds to have arrived at this point than it would have been for U2 to arrive at the same point, because U2 they didn't start from the same experimental post-punk sort of point that Simple Minds did. And it is if you listen to Reel Cacophony and you listen to this, it's almost like that's such a massive, massive transition. But I would argue you can still hear it's Simple Minds.
I mean, I've probably not listened to it enough because it never really grabbed me, at the time. And since, it's one of those albums that I kind of occasionally listen to once every 5 or 10 years to see if I still don't like it.
Okay.
And I come to that conclusion that I still don't like it.
I know those kind of records, yeah.
I
have those kind of records. Records I listen to every 5 years just to remind myself that I don't like it.
Pacific Blue.
Even though I'm told I should.
Controversial.
Yes.
Exactly. But U2, it was a very, you're right, that U2 obviously came out of a kind of a post-punk territory. An Unforgettable Fire, as much as it's atmospheric, expansive, and a real progression, it's very logical. You can sort of hear from I Will Follow You to Unforgettable Fire, it's there. Whereas this, to go from Sister Feelings Call or whatever to...
The stadium, there's... The sound of the stadium is inherent in U2 right from the very first record.
Right from the off,
the sound of the stadium is completely absent from an album like Reel to Reel Cacophony.
And arguably, with Unforgettable Fire, U2 were actually becoming slightly more experimental, slightly more obtuse, whereas Simple Minds had absolutely reined everything in. It's a great album in terms of it achieving probably exactly what they wanted to do.
I think it's a wonderful big stadium pop rock record. Yeah, and as I say, I do disagree with you slightly. I still feel it has a few of the edges of Simple Minds.
Yeah. No, I might be completely wrong.
Work,
I might be completely
No, you're not completely wrong. And it's interesting because I think we're putting the opposite sides of the argument there, but I think we're essentially agreeing on the essence of the record.
Yeah.
Just one of us likes that essence and one of us doesn't really like the essence.